What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, you guys, and let's get into it. It is the first day of June today. Here we are with 9 hours and 30 minutes left in the day, sitting here at $104.7 thousand. Yesterday we had a low at 103.1K, and as unexpected as it might be, yesterday really could have been the low of this move, right? I still am holding out for this thought of we get a symmetrical low here. We have a head and shoulders look after a week. I'm still holding out for that thought there. It's very possible that we don't. We could have found support here and then moved up. It doesn't really make sense, but if we're looking at it on a closing perspective, you kind of found support at closing resistance here. If you're looking at it on a wicking perspective, you found support at closing support. So you can make sense out of it, sure, but I would think that if we were to find support, it would either have been just above this low or perhaps even just below this low, right? We're not really in an area that makes sense to stop, but that might be why it makes sense to stop here, right? We've done this a few times. From a low to a high here, the 236, okay, we stopped right there, and that makes sense. The next low that we had, none of this made sense. This was not low enough of a retracement, and yet this is what we got, and we still grew, right? Here, same thing, we still grew. Here, we're not even at the 236, but we're very close. We still might grow. And then also, of course, you take this overall low here back in August 5th, all the way up to this high here, and the area that would have made sense, the next area to make sense to find support at would have been the 0.5 here. We didn't find support at the 0.5. We found support just above it in an area that wouldn't really make sense. So I'm just saying Bitcoin lately has been throwing people off its trail as far as what a logical area of support is, and maybe even resistance too. And with that in mind, this could be a suitable area for support. Now, if you're going with the head and shoulders thing like I am, it might not make sense. We did just get below the 50 on the RSI here. It's looking like we are going to go a little bit lower. With that being said, we are kind of in line with these lows here. If we take a line here to this low and that low, I mean, we're literally right in line with that. Could today be a day that starts us off going higher, or are we just going to consolidate a little bit here, meander, and then ultimately break through anyways? Remains to be seen. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame, the 4 hour time frame, and build out from there. Okay, so looking at the 1 hour, 1 hour is looking a bit bullish, yeah. You went from a downtrend to a sideways trend to now you're in an uptrend. So that's good. You're in an uptrend. It looks like it wants to get into the overbought zone. So you probably have a little bit of more growth by the end of today. We're at 104.7K now. I would expect, looking at this, I would expect that we are probably above 105K by the end of today, which would be nice. What would that put us at, right? Because we got 9 hours, 25 minutes left in this week, too. We're probably not going to close this week green, you guys, yeah. I think that we're going to close this week above 105K, but not green. Where would we have to close green? We'd have to close above $109,000 to close green, okay? We might, but I doubt it. It's not impossible, I suppose. $109,000. For Bitcoin to move up like 4%, that normally is like a whole day endeavor, though. Yeah, 4%. I don't know. We could do it in 9 hours, maybe. We'll see. 4%'s a lot for Bitcoin these days, man. Let's see. The 1 hour time frame looks very bullish. I like the volume, all that stuff, whatever. 4 hour RSI looks bearish. You're at an area that I'd actually expect that you reject, but maybe not. Let's see. Coming in, no, maybe you're just breaking out of this, so maybe you do continue actually. Might expect some acceleration here in a second. So if we are at a relative low and we're still expecting that we go lower, might we just retrace a standard retracement from this high to low here? Might we just go up to 106.4K, maybe even all the way up to about 109 to 108.5 thousand if we were to go as high as we could go. If we found resistance here, by the way, and moved up, that would just be another lower high in succession of these lower highs. So I wouldn't don't get too excited if Bitcoin's at 109K, okay? Certainly not if it's any lower than that too. It's very possible that we only move up to $106,500. If we were to move up to this 382, it's extremely common. Whenever you go up to the 382 to wick above it and then close below it, if we were to do that, that's basically in line with these areas of support. We'd be effectively finding resistance at prior support and then continuing to move down too, and we can still get lower highs that way too. It's either way, lower highs are probably inevitable at this point. I would think also with something like this, let's imagine this real quick, okay? Let's say that we do go right above the 382. We find resistance, which by the way, it's very, very typical when you retrace to go just above the 382 on your first attempt. You wick above it and then you close below it. That's actually a very kind of common thing to do. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but if you were like trading and then in the same day you saw it go up above the 382 and the day was still open, if you went short there, I bet by the end of the day it would close below the 382 and you could just like take profits there. But not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying most of the time that's kind of what happens, at least in my experience. But we're going to put a line right there, acting as if we find resistance right around here. We're going to take away the fib, and then looking at this on a daily perspective, that would, if we were to do something like that, that would get rid of this head and shoulders look, potentially. Maybe it would make it a slanted head and shoulders, right? Because if we went up here, we're finding resistance like this, maybe we'd have a slanted head and shoulders, which could happen. We could break out of that to the downside too. I don't know. Time will tell. But if we were to do that, that would kind of take away the essence of this being a potential head and shoulders pattern, which I actually would like. So let's get up there to $106.7 thousand. I think that's where we're going to go over the next day or two. And then from there, we'll see if we do make our way back down. But right now, 104.7, I'm guessing that we go up to 106.7K. Ultimately, regardless of what we do today, tomorrow, this week, whatever, we're on a path that is higher. That is going to take us to 130, 140K, and inevitably 170 and 180K sometime in July is the expectation for those last targets, 170 and 180. 140, 130K is likely going to happen this month, maybe toward the end of the month. We'll see. And then 160, 170K should be something, 170, 180K should be something for next month. But in the meantime, we're going to meander. We're going to figure ourselves out. We're going to move up to about 106,500, maybe all the way up to 109,000. We don't get excited at 109,000. We get excited once we break above, not wick above 110,000. When you break above there, when you get days to close above 110,000, that's when it's time to get excited again, okay? Until then, until we see a daily close above 110,000, assume that any high from here is probably just going to be a lower high, and we could be working our way down, okay? I do suspect that within the next day or two, we'll be up at 106,500 or higher, and then probably looking to come back down to prices that are even lower than this, potentially as low as about like $101,000, $102,000, if not lower, but we'll see. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.